Promise. So I've done this before. Good morning, and welcome back to Gaming with ADHD, where today we're I know you all are normally excited to see me painting or something mildly productive, but today I'm joined by the Black Dot, also known as the Six World.
I am the Black Dot.
Good morning, bud. How you doing today?
I'm doing all right. Did my taxes today, so that's always fun. I guess, but hey, it's my weekend, so I really can't complain.
But did the government screw you? I mean, more than they normally do.
No more than usual. I got a little bit back, so it's all good as long as I don't end up owing anything.
There we go. All right, so Six World is already in a good mood. We're super excited to talk about this thing.
It is a thing, yes.
All right, let's do this, especially for people that are going to come in and watch this after the fact. Let's watch the trailer real quick.
Yeah, sure.
It's just a couple of minutes. Shout out to Lingster Games. I have no idea who you are, but you've got the uploaded video, so we're gonna call that good. Oh God, if I can figure out how to share videos. Sorry, I guess I have to do it in Chrome because otherwise StreamYard wants to throw a fit. I know. I'm a professional at this, right? All right, there we go.
That's why we tune in, is for the high tech skills,
the quality programming.
Exactly.
All right, let's watch this.
For 40 years, Battletech has presented a single canon setting, a straight arrow of time from our world to 1,000 years in the future.
Real quick, I do want to point out, I loved this box set.
Which one? This one right here. That would have been around
2009-ish.
Yeah.
But this is also the one that had like the hardboard maps in it. Oh, that was great. I love that series. It also had like their first attempt at the multi-part plastic miniatures.
Yeah. Oh. I mean, my only introductory set that I've ever bought, other than like the Mercenaries one and like the other one, has been the old school one, like the 3rd or 4th edition one with all the janky ass plastic minis.
Oh my God. Actually, this set still had those janky ass plastic miniatures. Anyways, regardless, I liked it. So, anyways,
ever expanding and evolving, but always a singular continuity. The Battletech Continuum embraces a new, splintered vision of alternate settings, and Battletech Gothic is the first themed box of this series. The core of the rules remain Battletech, but include some exciting new additions to reflect the aesthetics of this setting. While the art and story hold a remnant of the universe you recognize, Battletech Gothic has been reforged into a virulent dark realm of biological monstrosities and parental realms clashing with ever more violent mech armies. For the miniatures, we've gone above and beyond, taking the details to new heights, while including faction-specific heads, back tabards, and bas reliefs, so each player can customize the atlas to their chosen empire. The Battletech Gothic box includes everything you need to dive into this primal universe. We hope you enjoy this lead to an alternate setting. There will be more such themed box sets in the future, exploring other possibilities. Join us as we enter the Battletech Continuum.
All right. So,
I think that's the coolest I've ever seen a Jaeger mech look, actually.
It is pretty epic, and it's definitely got the grim dark look to it. But so first off, quick summary for everyone. Battletech Gothic coming this summer, and it says it's the first in a series of alternate universe expansions for the game. So they haven't said anything about what they have planned next, but this is the initial start.
From the leaks that I've seen, I think one of the plan sets is I think there's like a cyberpunk set that's being planned, which, I mean, they've already done the Shadowrun Battletech crossover before, which was it was okay. And then there's another one coming out, and I forget what that one is, but I'm pretty sure one of them is supposed to be cyberpunk.
Okay, so all right. So when you saw this, what was your first thought?
Blah. I mean, my first thought was, I had hints from some people that something was coming, and that it wasn't going to be good. And then I saw the trailer, and I'm like, I don't know about this. So that was kind of my first reaction. Is there anybody that was asking for this? Is this something that people like? Is this something that people, do they want 40K in their Battletech? I kind of just assume that people play Battletech because it was a different setting from 40K. But I mean, digging into it a little bit, there's the opinion from some people that this is an April Fool's joke. I don't think this is an April Fool's joke. If it is, they blew a lot of money.
There is way too much production for an April Fool's joke.
Yeah, no, there's no way you wouldn't design a box set, design minis, get art that is very expensive, even if you're using in-house creators, and do it just for the lulz, basically. This is definitely not an April Fool's joke.
Right. So, right, and mine. So I don't remember what my first thought on it was, but I remember I remember not hating it. Like, it was like, okay, I'm not quite sure what this is. I think they're going for an alternate universe type setting. So they're not trying to mess with our canon. They're just, hey, here is something.
Yeah.
And I think it's totally valid. Like, there's always been people like, well, why don't we have aliens, or why don't we do this, or what about like a mecha versus kaiju kind of a thing? Why can't we have giant monsters?
Yeah. And I mean, all I'm going to say is, the Tatate Star Empire is a real force, and soon they will come for you, smooth skins.
I have never read Far Country, but I'm assuming that's the bird people.
Yeah, those are the bird people from Far Country, which it gets way more hate than it deserves, because it's not a bad sci-fi book. Like, it's not a horrible story by any stretch of the imagination. It's just not a good Battletech book, and it gets like a lot of hate because it's a Battletech book, but it's an okay book. It's fine. I've got it somewhere in a closet. I gotta dig it out and read it, and maybe do a review video on it.
I'm not sure if I've read it. Well, I know let me rephrase that. I know I haven't read it. I am not sure if I own it, because I own about 90% of the old Rock novels.
Mm-hmm.
So,
yeah, this was around that time, if I remember correctly. I'm pretty sure. One of the Rock books.
Oh, it absolutely was one of the Rock books. I can picture the cover in my head. I just haven't read it. So that's the other thing. Like, it's a box set. I'm going to guess that it's self-contained, because we've got a rule book. We've got rule book is over here. We've got the universe primer. Looks like Herb Bees has written some fiction which I think that's actually kind of interesting. Because I know he was not necessarily the happiest when he left Catalyst as the line developer.
Yeah,
So,
yeah. No, I've heard there's been a little bit of bad blood between them.
But I mean, he's at least contributing something. I know he did the arcade operations.
Yeah.
So, and that got a supplement relatively recently as well. So, I mean,
Yeah. I mean, if I remember correctly, I think Herb left recently, and from what I've seen of the rumors online, this was like I think rumored to be in development since last year. I think the original release date was supposed to be last year.
No, Herb left, but Herb was the line developer before Brent.
Oh, okay. Yeah, no, I'm misremembering things then.
Oh yeah, it's quite a yeah. Herb was not involved with the current Game of Armored Combat set. So, but again, he's still getting involved. So we've obviously got some classic designers involved in this. I dug through all of the screenshots that people have put up of the primer. I didn't see an author list, so I was a little disappointed on that. Just to kind of see who was involved. Now we've got Juodas Varnas, who says, I just can't believe they made a Scorpion design I don't like. Okay. I would like to know what you don't like about it. I mean, obviously, the image is not the greatest on this. But it looks like, so we've got a king crab, an Atlas, the Marauder. This looks like a rifleman.
I like how they put the party hat on the Atlas.
Yeah. I'm not necessarily a fan of the back that's actually okay. This is me nitpicking, and I absolutely know I'm nitpicking, but I have to do it. But whoever did the audio, and mentioned that they have bas relief sculptures on the mechs angers me so much because it's pronounced bas relief. I learned that. So be nitpicky here.
Yeah.
Anyway.
Yeah, I honestly I don't like the back tabards.
That was a little odd to me as well.
Yeah, if you're gonna do a tabard, if you're gonna go full, 40K Grimdark, do the dick tabard like normal people do.
Or if you're gonna do the back banner, like do a back banner. It sticks up above your head.
Yeah, a dick tabard or a back banner, either one.
So I'm thinking this one right here is probably a Phoenix Hawk.
Yeah. I'll go with that too. That might be a Jaeger mech. No, it's not a Jaeger.
No, because its arms have elbows.
Yeah,
that was hard to say. Well, here,
maybe an enforcer potentially.
Let me do this. No, I didn't want to do that. No.
Oh, Joda says it's a fire starter. That makes sense considering we see a fire starter in the trailer.
Was that a fire? That looked like a kind of like a Hatamoto Chi or something.
Yeah, I mean it's a bad photo, really. Anyway, it's kind of blurry.
Where was I? I saw a picture of the miniature somewhere. Maybe it was on Reddit. Blah, blah, blah. Of course, there's lots of complaints and hate for it.
Okay, yeah. Jodison comments. He's saying Firestarter, Atlas, Phoenix Hawk, Rifleman, Irby, Scorpion, Marauder. Yeah, I'll go with that.
Okay. Yeah, I mean, I was just trying to. I swear I saw this and now I can't find it. Oh, I should have saved that picture when I did. All right. Let's come back to that. All right. All right. So okay. Nerds Nerd. Welcome, Nerds Nerd, and Dr. Death, and everyone, by the way. Nerds Nerd rates this goof spinoff as better than Critter Tech, but worse than Technical Readout 1945. And Juodas doesn't like the so many random spikes and trim and random geometry just kills the vibe. Okay, I can get that.
Yeah, I mean, it does kind of seem like the paint jobs that I've seen, the few paint jobs that I've seen of the minis from this that have been painted. There's like a Marauder that's floating around there that it looks pretty cool. The paint job is very well done, but I will agree that in some ways it does look like Grimdark if you ordered it from Temu.
I can kind of get that. You know me. I am willing to cut quite a bit of slack. I know in some of our conversations that we were having yesterday evening, like for me, I look at it like these would make great periphery pilot or pirates. You know, at worst, they're just some alternate sculpts. You know, so I get, you know, people's concerns. Actually, here, let's put this back. But I mean, overall, I don't like. I can like, okay, so like on the Marauder, like the little tusks underneath the cockpit, that looks a little off. But
yeah,
again, I've seen worse. I've seen worse from Catalyst. And
yeah, definitely 100%. They have definitely, the Urban Mech Lamb comes to mind as being something that's far more egregious than any of these. Even the Party Hat Atlas is better than the Urban Mech Lamb.
Right. Well,
and I'm not too fond of the Party Hat Atlas.
Well, but that's the other thing. Even if you're not a fan of Party Hat Atlas, they give you what, like 6 different heads anyways?
Yeah, that's true. And I think they might be missing the mark a little bit with that. I think if they're going to have modularity in this set in particular, they need to just go all the way, and just kind of have modular everything. Like, you know, just put in a bunch of sprues, let us put our mechs together how we want, and that would actually be a pretty big selling point for this box. And I think a lot of people would get it, and a lot of people would be less pissed off if that was the case. But it'd be more expensive would be the trade-off. So
yeah, well, not necessarily, because if you're doing sprues, you could make a more complicated sprue, but then you're not paying the factory to assemble it.
Yeah, that's true. As long as they don't take tips from Games Workshop on how to do a sprue, because I am really tired of all these little Legion Imperialis miniatures where a Dreadnought's arm is 3 pieces.
That's totally fair. So Steven actually kind of brings up a point. He says, I assume this would be a one-off release with an interesting alternate universe with different lore rather than a new setting. So right, it's an alternate universe. I think you're going to be able to bring in pretty much any of the other designs that you want. No big deal. But the question is, do you think this would just be a one-off product?
Tried to unmute my mic there and it didn't do it. No, from what I've seen, this is not going to be a one-off product.
Well,
I'm hearing that this is actually going to be like an expansion.
Well, right, but hold on. I'm not talking a one-off, like the only alternate universe. I'm talking like, are we going to see more Battletech Gothic products?
Yeah. Yeah, that's what I mean.
Okay.
We're from what I've read from some people, from what I've been hearing from folks that are kind of plugged into it, is it seems like we're going to be seeing more Battletech. I want to say Battlefleet Gothic, because that's another issue.
I know.
How close that name is to that. But I've heard that there is probably going to be more of this. At least it seems like Catalyst probably wants to do more of it. I think we might get to a point where we have like these different alternate universes with like their own different expansions.
Well,
if Catalyst is able to sustain it, I don't know that they'll be able to sustain a whole bunch of different product lines within the BattleTech product line as it is. But I mean, we'll see.
well, but it could. That's the thing, is it could be test beds. It could
Yeah.
be, it's like, okay, we're gonna do this one. Okay, we've got some good response. We've got some good sales. Okay, let's put out tech readout BattleTech Gothic.
Mm-hmm.
All right, makes sense. Let's do a miniature pack or an upgrade pack, something, here's some arms, you'll have to be an advanced modeler or something, to swap the parts out.
Yeah.
But here's some ways to convert more models. But that's the other thing, is they could, like, as long as the sales are there, they could just keep rolling with it. And then once the sales start to taper off, then they could be like, okay, cool, we're going to end BattleTech Gothic coming in at, say it lasts 2 years. So then coming in 2027, BattleTech Cyber, and do the cyberpunk setting.
Yeah, that's a good point. They could do like maybe it's like a limited setting, like it's not something that they sustain, but it's something that they release, like a main box for maybe like 2 or 3 expansions for it, and then they move on to something else.
Yeah, well, I mean, it could be like it could be like a Gorka Morka or a Necromunda, where it's not supposed to have the long term, shelf life. I mean, and Games Workshop had a lot of success with doing those little one-off games as well. So let's see.
That's true. But with Games Workshop, like with the Barnes and Noble games, all of that is designed to kind of push people back into the miniatures, like the main miniature lines. And this, I don't know that it would have that effect necessarily, because I don't know if somebody would pick up BattleTech Gothic and be like, oh, well, now I want to play regular BattleTech. I think they would, if they're picking this up, I think they would want to stick with it.
Well, but I mean, but that's the thing. I mean, they don't necessarily have to switch into main BattleTech. If they prefer BattleTech Gothic, like I was saying earlier, I'm going to guess that the miniatures are all going to be compatible. So they'll like if they put out like a tech readout, hey, because also this is, I think, 3015. So just stick to more or less 3025 tech. And then they've already got all the miniatures out for it. So they may not look as Gothic, but I don't think they're going to look that far out of place.
That's true. Yeah. No, yeah. I mean that's a good point. I mean, obviously you could take these into a game of BattleTech proper, no problem. It's just I just keep going back to like the why. Like, why do we have, like, because there's a lot of stuff out there that BattleTech players want. Like, more miniatures of newer mechs, of different mechs being the main thing. So it just I don't know, it just seems like this is creative energy that's better spent kind of developing the main line of BattleTech rather than kind of branching off. I just don't, honestly, I just don't know who this is for at the end of the day. I really don't.
And I get that, but like, okay, so I'm gonna make a couple of points, and this is all me purely speculating.
Yeah,
Okay.
speculate away. I mean, all of this is us speculating. So
Right. I'm just saying.
we don't know crap about this other than the trailer and like the leak primer.
So okay, so number one, why do something like this and divert away from regular development? Sometimes doing something like this can help get those creative juices flowing again. Let's be honest, Battletech has been stagnant for years. Even with them trying to push into the Ill Clan era, at least for me, it hasn't gone anywhere. I haven't been excited for Ill Clan. You know, I think, like I've said it before in like my miniature reviews, a lot of the designs, while I like them and they are improvements, a lot of them have same factory syndrome. They literally look like they all walked off the same assembly line.
Yep.
I'll agree with that. So I think this could absolutely be a way to, hey, let's try something different. Let's get out of our regular rut for a little while, and let's do this. Let's throw it out there and see what people think. You know. So I think that can be I think that's a first thing to consider. As far as design work, okay, we've already got Herb Bees involved. Okay. And the reason I point that out is he's not a line developer. If he was involved in the rules in any way, then maybe this is something that he's been working on the side and brought to Catalyst and said, hey, what do you think? And they're like, you know what? That's fine. And so maybe they'd spent a couple of months like fine tuning, doing some play testing, whatever, contracting out to get the new sculpts. But I highly doubt this was something done by like the regular development team.
Yeah, that's true. I'll agree with that. I mean, design wise, I will say, I'm going to say something positive about this because I've been negative, but you want to do the compliment sandwich, so you have in my case it's going to be the negative, the positive, and then the negative. But I will say that like the art that I've seen, especially that's in the primer, most of it is really, really good. There's a couple of pieces in there that are kind of like, but I mean, for the most part, the art is decent. So they did take some time, and put at least a little bit of thought into this, which again goes back to the point that no, this is not an April Fool's joke. So that'll be the positive thing that I'll say about it. Is the art does look pretty cool. The minis, I'm going to judge it when I get them up close and personal because it's kind of hard to judge from just like, the grainy pictures. But the Marauder that I've seen floating around, again, that looks pretty cool. Some of the design choices on it are kind of meh, but I mean, for the most part, it does look pretty well designed.
Okay. So then I'll ask this question related to the art, because I agree with you. I think the art really does hit it out of the park. Whether you like grimdark or not, and a lot of people don't, like that, just that, and this is only half the picture. This is a great design.
Yeah. I mean, I don't know if I would call it grimdark in the style of like Games Workshop or John Blanche, because I don't think that it is, but it definitely captures a similar aesthetic to it, and it's a decent piece. Either way, it's a pretty good piece.
Yeah. And real quick, folks, before you ask, no, these are not technically aliens. We'll get into that in a minute. Here's the other half of the piece. Overall, what do you like? So you said it's good art. Like, what do you think about the setting that they're trying to convey?
I mean, I haven't actually delved into the primer beyond just like scanning through it. So setting wise, I really can't give a whole lot to it. It's interesting. Of course, they've got like their BattleTech world equivalents. So you got like the Dragon Empire, and then you've got the not Slaneshi party people down in the Free Worlds League, and that sort of thing. So it's I don't know. I'm not excited about it, but it's going to be interesting reading into the primer and seeing what they did with it.
Yeah, so I've read a little bit, and for the most part, like, so they go like, this is essentially it right here. For all intents and purposes, if you were reading this and you were reading the just the regular BattleTech primer, it actually like mirrors it pretty closely. You still have the amorous coup, you still have Kerensky going off into deep space.
Yeah,
but
it didn't look like there was anything that was like insanely different.
Right. The biggest thing is like they're dropping in little hints about where is it? The gene, I think it's the gene crafted. Basically, I'm calling them gene crafted right now, folks, just because I want to keep moving. I don't want to just like sit here and look for stuff and have you all bored. But this guy right here, this little beastie dude, that's a gene crafted. And so it looks like there are options for like technically it's still a human universe, but humans have created these, bio beast things of all different sizes. So to me, it looks like we are getting sort of a mecha versus kaiju kind of setting. I actually think these designs are kind of cool. I am all over that. Here's some other slight variants on it. I did read something about technically all of there are human sized gene crafted that are intelligent like humans, but then they're supposed to be sterile so that they don't pollute the human gene pool.
Supposed to be in quotes, of course. I'm sure.
Right. Well, no, because then they just straight up say, "Oh yeah, they're like so." So right here, so like these black spots, these are star systems that are just destroyed, whether nuclear, biological, chemical, whatever. They're dead zones in space. And so there are supposed to be planets that are now taken over by the gene crafted that somehow have started breeding. So, yeah, they wrote that into it as well.
I mean, life finds a way.
Exactly. But yeah, so we've got the Realm of the Blood Dragon or Karita. They still keep a lot of that, just the house names, except for Free Worlds League. We'll get to that in a minute. Realm of the Blazing Light is Davian. Actually, I like. Okay, yeah, there's our Firestarter. I kind of like that Firestarter redesign.
Yeah, I mean that's probably the hardest Firestarter I've ever seen. I mean, he is definitely starting all of the fires and then some.
Yeah,
and committing as many war crimes as he possibly can. So I like I said, the art in the book is decent. It is pretty good. There's a couple of pieces that are like, but I mean, for the most part, yeah, I'll admit the art is really good. And there was a good point. A Nerd's Nerd brought up a good point in the chat a little bit earlier too. That just from a marketing standpoint, we're talking about it, positive or negative. There's buzz that's been generated. So
yes, that's true. We are absolutely contributing to the delinquency of minors. let's see. We got the Realm of the Celestial Throne, or House Liao, who seem to have gone very heavily into the gene crafting, which even old Max Liao seems to have done some gene crafting on himself.
I like how he's a lizard man.
Right? That's kind of a cool Phoenix Hawk. Not gonna lie.
Yeah. I'll agree with that.
Realm of the Endless Dynasty, which is the Free Worlds League. This I thought was interesting. It's not House Merrick. Merrick is mentioned, which I did see just right here, the Merrick Commonwealth, but it's a different family in charge. It's like House Siraj or something.
Yeah, a lot of people that I've seen talking, they've kind of zeroed in on that. This one in particular is this is like the Slanesh equivalent, which I don't know that it is, but it definitely is giving off some Slaneshi vibes.
Not gonna disagree. Realm of Blood and Steel, which is Steiner. Obviously a little bit more Gothic looking. There's the Rifleman. Sorry, folks, it's not a PDF, so I can't zoom in like normal. The Terra Noir, or the Unistar Ascendancy, so Comstar.
That is a cool king crab.
Yes.
Little bit much on the cockpit area, but I mean it is a pretty cool king crab. I'll give it
hands are a little bulky, but
yeah, I don't know that I like the hands, but I mean the body itself is pretty cool.
Yeah, we're kind of nitpicking, let's be honest. And then we've got the Marauder States. There's our Urban Mech. These are so the human gene crafted. I believe they called them the Frayed. There's our Duotus, his scorpion down here. Not a fan.
I'll be honest, I've never really been a fan of the Scorpion either. It's kind of it's always been in general just kind of a janky mech, but
he loves the Scorpion, just not that one. Then we got another Phoenix Hawk. And so you said this was the Jaeger mech. This is just a great picture. Regardless, the dude standing up here on top of the radome, yeah, absolutely. More of the gene crafted beasties with guns mounted to them. Abominations. That's what it. Grafting. I am ruining all of it right now. Yeah, so the monsters are abominations, and the genetic modification is just called grafting. There we go. I ruined everything, folks. Sorry. The Frayed. Jonas brings up an interesting point. I did notice that there hasn't been a single art piece of a mech that isn't in the box itself. That's true.
So, yeah, that is a good point.
And then, all right, so then here you can see the different, Atlas with a hat, and then the different back tabards. I'm still not sure about the back tabards.
Yeah, I'm not a fan of it. It doesn't make much sense to me. It's not. I don't like mechs having capes.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, why? No, weird. Anyways, so we had the Draconis Combine, the Draconic Imperium, the Shining Kingdoms of Avalon, with whatever's going on that hat, the Golden Unity.
I will say that the golden the head on the Golden Unity, I do like how they made it kind of like a helmet, kind of like an Imperial Chinese helmet type of deal.
Right.
Again, the back tabard is I don't like it, but
you know what?
The head looks cool at least.
Nerds brings up an interesting point. Atlas leads from the front. Soldiers behind are inspired by their glorious banner. I can see that. That makes sense.
Yeah, I mean, if you want your entire army moving at like, 30 kilometers per hour, sure.
The collective of the Violet Crux. The Ironclad Alliance. And then we're back to the beginning.
I do think the Steiner equivalent goes pretty hard.
Yes. Real quick, Dr. Death, although we're not going to cover it, they did also post this image that says Aerospace Fighter. So I have no idea. Maybe it's new Aerotech. We don't know.
It'd be interesting to see if they do new Aerotech and if they fix it to where we don't need an advanced mathematics degree to simulate aerospace battles. But I'm not holding out too much hope.
I'm not either, but honestly, if they and I haven't dug into the yes, I've had my stuff for months now, and I have not dug into the support rules. But if they did something like this, the vehicles with the support rules for aerospace fighters, I think I would start using them a lot more.
Yeah. The support rules are pretty easy. The little that I've used them, they make using vehicles and infantry a lot more seamless. I guess is the not as much rules keeping. So if you want something that's kind of stripped down, you just want to throw a couple of vehicles in to fill out some battle value or whatever. I mean, it's a good way to do that. I don't know if it would work with aerospace necessarily, but it'll be interesting to see them try.
Right. I've always just been frustrated with aerospace fighters because it's like, here, yes, you can use aerospace fighters in your game. Draw a line and you get to attack stuff in that line if it's still there when you come by. And it's like, yeah, I don't like this. Anyways, all right, back to Battletech Gothic. All right. So we've kind of gone over everything that has been announced so far, but I did want to pose a question to you. So Seraphis and I were talking about this this last night before he went to sleep. Would you like to see let's see. Actually, I'm gonna answer this real quick. Remy says, do we know if the Gothic system is a classic Battletech, Alpha Strike, or something completely different? Sorry. Yeah, Remy, I'm gonna say classic because if you look down to that corner, you can see all the little hex tokens. You can see the mechs on the hex bases. So, and then the maps look like they're all hexes as well. So it very, very much looks like a classic Battletech rule set that they're going to use for this.
I will say, if you look at that still of everything, it does look like there might be some Alpha Strike cards in there as well. So it might be for both. There might be mostly classic, but it looks like there may also be a little bit of a tie-in with Alpha Strike. Like maybe they've got some alternate rules or something. It wouldn't be too hard. Yeah, right down there. That's definitely an Alpha Strike card.
And I don't think you're wrong on that either. I mean, obviously we've got Alpha Strike, we've got support cards, we've got the pilot cards. So you're getting all of the stuff that you get in a standard Battletech box anyways. But then you have back here, you've got regular Battle Mech record sheets. So I don't think it's going to be that different at all from what we're used to getting for them.
Yeah. Like I said, I think it's mostly going to be classic. I think there's probably going to be a tie-in for Alpha Strike in there. But I mean, it's going to go off of the Battletech rules. So if you wanted to use all this stuff in Alpha Strike, there's not really anything that would stop you. You wouldn't really have to change a whole lot, probably.
Right. So, all right. So I want to getting back onto my question. Oh, by the way, folks, if you're here and you're new, don't forget, subscribe, do all the YouTube-y things. I'd appreciate it. For reasons. Okay. Here's my question. Would you like to see the clans make an appearance in Battletech Gothic? We know that Kerensky left the Inner Sphere. Would the clans make an appearance in your guess?
I'll tell you what I would like. I would not want to see the clans in
Okay.
this. And the reason for that is because I think I think this would be better as like its own thing, its own brand. You branch off of BattleTech, like maybe this is an alternate universe where you hit this point in the timeline, things shift a little bit differently, and you don't have a clan invasion. Maybe you have something different than the clan invasion, but I think because Grimdark it's very dark, it's very much hopeless. You've got like kind of the middle of Grimdark, which is like Warhammer 40K, where it's a bad situation, but you still got like a little bit of hopeful elements, and then you got like at the extreme end, there's Trench Crusade, where there's absolutely no redeeming qualities to anything except you're just trying to fight to stay alive, essentially. But I think with Battletech Gothic, I think it would be better if Kerensky just died. He just goes out there, and they never hear from him again.
All right.
And that gives people a mystery. Kind of like 40K has all this stuff that like Jagatai Khan he kind of goes into the webway and you just kind of you don't hear from him again. He's off doing stuff or whatever, that sort of thing. Or this particular colony was established and never heard from again after a cryptic message. Or I think it needs to go that thing. I would not want to see Battlefleet Gothic clan invasion. Because I think that's a stupid idea.
Right. I don't want to see Battlefleet Gothic clan invasion either, because now we're just crossing universes and that's just going to get out of control.
Yeah, if you're going to do it right, make it its own thing. Try to bring some uniqueness into it. And putting a clan equivalent in there it doesn't do that at all. It's lazy.
Okay. So I'm going to completely disagree with you, because I think I have the best idea ever, and I think it would be amazing.
Go for it.
So, first off, Stephen Cross is kind of along the lines of what I was thinking. Okay. Yes, if they make them big, gribbly beasties. So, Seraphis and I were talking, and kind of went a couple different directions, but we kind of coalesced on a good one. So my initial thought was, yes, the clans are big beasties. Okay, it's kaiju, but to keep it still sort of like in a BattleTech theme, you have human or what did I say? It was I'm going to go back to gene crafted. Yes, I know it's the wrong word, folks, but I forget what the real one is. You've got gene crafting going on, and so you still want to have pilots, okay? But it's big beasties. So how do you pilot big beasties? Well, mind link them together. Okay.
Mm-hmm.
So basically the clans, they abandoned the mechs, kept the big beasties, and they've got guys driving the big beasts around. And then Seraphis had an idea of the clans were actually gene crafted in with their totem animals. So then I started thinking, okay, well, what if the beasties are their big kind of totem animals, but the gene crafting like mutates them to kind of take on some of those aspects, which is what allows them to mind link with it and control it.
Okay. I could maybe see something like that, or maybe the clans go very like hard into like they're not just totem animals; they're like actually worshiping these animals, and that's like the clan's gods, and they gene craft themselves to become one with their gods or whatever.
Ooh,
That might work. That might work.
I think you're throwing in some great ideas on that. And
Yeah,
Catalyst is never going to take them from us.
I do agree with Otter Pops that we probably have to see more of the lore behind it before we decide whether or not something like that would fit with the lore. My fear for this is it's just kind of my fear with this is it's not something that Catalyst is seriously intending to support, and they're just kind of throwing it in there as like a cynical cash grab on the grimdark craze that like they saw a Trench Crusade and say, hey, we can do that, and this is the result of that. That's my fear with this whole thing. Because believe it or not, I give Catalyst a lot of crap, but I do want them to succeed. I want Battletech to be good. I just want them to stop fucking up so much.
And I'm gonna agree with you completely on that. I've still got my friends over there. I still support them in my way, even if I'm not, like 100% on board with everything that they do. But I absolutely agree. Malachi, I will stab you.
More romance. Yes, we need Hungry Like the Wolf. We need the Hungry Like the Wolf quadrilogy is what we need.
I will ban you from my channel.
At least 4 books of that.
I will ban you from my channel, Sixth World.
and even better, 50 Shades of Comstar.
50 Shades of Comstar.
Or 50 Shades of Blake. 50 Shades of Blake. Peckish like the Falcon.
Peckish like the Falcon. What is this world coming to, everybody? No,
that's the real grimdark.
That's Steven. 50 Shades of Rom.
There you go.
No, but I do agree with you. I would like this to not just be a cash grab. Like I could totally understand, like, if like limited series, we're gonna do like 6 products for it total, but it's enough for you to like think about it. There are still people that are 30-25 purists.
Yeah.
They still want to play with the Battletech compendium or earlier. So there's no reason they couldn't just make like just a simple line, 6 products. It's got everything that you need, and you can just keep playing Battletech Gothic, for the next 40 years.
Yeah. No, exactly. I mean, if they do it like that, I think that's what a lot of people, why a lot of people are reacting so viscerally against this sort of thing is because given what's going on in gaming, given Catalyst's recent behavior and past behavior, I think a lot of people are seeing this as like it's a cash grab, and I don't think that's the intent, but that's definitely how that's definitely how it's come across. We'll have to see what they do with their marketing and how they kind of spin this at Adepticon and what they're planning with it. But I think that's why a lot of people are reacting so viscerally against it.
Yeah, and that is another thing. Like, we haven't gotten anything beyond, hey, here's a couple of images and a trailer that doesn't tell it. Like I know, like, let's be honest, Catalyst is not going to come out and be like, oh, we have these 8 products all lined up and they're going to come out over the next 3 months. They're not going to tell us that. But
yeah,
they could easily say, you know what, obviously we've got to see how the sales go, but we do have plans that if the sales are there, we know where we're going next with it. And if and as long as they do that, I think that would actually allay a lot of fears. I think Steven's perfectly correct. There are purists no matter what. Well, okay, let me phrase that. He said with the 30-25 purists, no matter what, you're not going to please that part of the fandom.
Oh yeah,
The thing is,
I know a couple of those grognards, and it is they're a lot of them are like real hard. This is the line in the sand. I don't go past Fourth Succession War, or I don't go past War 3039. There's a couple of them in our newer group, and they always bring like the old school stuff. They always bring the old school stuff to like the Alpha Strikes tournaments and that sort of thing. So yeah, he's definitely right about that. There's definitely a hardcore subset of the fandom that is very set in their ways and will not change. And that's fine. That's fine. We still love them anyway. We'll play games with them. We'll play games with them anyway.
I like this. Easy way to find one. Just go double heat sinks and see which one goes. So Remy brings up an interesting point. I like this idea, but I don't know if Battletech is the place to do it. I had an idea like this a year or two ago and wondered, but if this makes it, I bet my idea would too. You know, and I think that's a really good point. I mean, we've already talked about how this is kind of a test bed for what is it, like the universe of Battletech or something.
Yeah.
Oh no, a Battletech continuum. That's what they're calling it. So yeah, it could easily be it could easily be, be adapted into other types of settings, other ways of looking at it.
Yep. I will say this though, Remy. Definitely pay attention to this, and I say do your idea, even if this doesn't work, because I mean you're never going to know unless you try.
Well, and on top of that, I mean, let's be honest, there's some good fan stuff out there, anyways.
Oh yeah,
like number one, yes, Remy, this is absolutely an alternate universe. But like actually, Stephen Cross, Steven, you're a mod. You can post, I don't go find the link to your website and post it in chat, Steven. Or yeah, because you'll probably do it faster than me. But yes, like Steven's Zukov alternate universe. What was it? Victor Davian doing what was it? What did he call it? Redshift or something? There's come up with your own universe. There's nothing. Yeah, there we go. Folks, go check out. I'm going to pin this in the chat too. Go check this out. Steven did a whole alternate universe, makes Clan Hell's horses cool, so go check it out. There's also your alternate universe doesn't even have to be, Battletech Gothic. It doesn't have to be a massive shift. There's all sorts of stuff you can try. But yeah, it's I think it's going to be real interesting to see what they do. There's still actually, you know what? They still haven't done anything with the did you look like Hollow Streets that they did for Shadowrun? They still haven't done one of those for Battletech yet.
Yeah, and I don't know why they haven't really, because I think you probably have more success with the Hollow Street style license with Battletech than you would with Shadowrun, because there's I'm almost positive that the Battletech fandom is bigger than the Shadowrun fandom, especially given the treatment that Shadowrun has gotten from Catalyst, which has not always been the best. But yeah, I don't know why they don't have a Hollow Streets for Battletech. It seems like they're kind of leaving money on the table at that point.
Well, when they announced Hollow Streets, they did specifically say that they were going to look at that and how that performed, and then decide if they would do it with Battletech. Because also, don't forget, technically it's a licensed property. They don't own it. So, like Shadowrun, unfortunately, based like also considering what you just said, they don't have the same fan base. So getting Tops or sports cards or whatever the name of the company is, fandom. What
Fanatic,
that's it.
Yeah.
So getting them to approve it for Battletech, which is obviously a much higher dollar moneymaker, is going to be harder to convince them, oh, hey, let's open it up to let the fans kind of do whatever they want with it. So, but if they do, we could see all sorts of, alternate universes like this.
Oh yeah, if they do, I think we'll see some really cool stuff, because I mean there's some badass stuff in Hollow Streets. I've reviewed a couple of Hollow Streets books that have been really, really good, better than some of Catalyst's stuff. So I have no doubt in my mind that if they do that, we'll get a lot of people doing a lot of cool stuff.
Yeah, absolutely. So, all right. Well, we've been going about an hour. So, and I can hear you got the kiddo there in the background, and this was obvious. Like, I can't take up your whole day, and on top of that, I got to go to bed. So, I guess any last thoughts, and folks, any last questions that you have for us or comments that you think we should know about, throw them in chat. But any last bits that you want to comment on?
I mean, the surest way to get me to buy this is if Catalyst makes the Tatate a playable faction. If anyone in Catalyst land is listening to this, I know I'm not one of your favorite people, but if you want to do something for me and you want me to buy your product and give it a really insanely good review, make the Tatate playable.
Okay, so
I'll have my people call Rem's people. We'll make it happen.
All right. So, okay, assuming they don't do the Tatate, okay, let's just take that off the table. I did remember that I wanted to ask you this question. What is the percent chance of you picking this product up?
I mean, probably 50-50. I'm on the fence with it. I might actually just get it from my local game store, if my local game store ends up carrying this, because they have not updated their Battletech stock in like at least a year. I think I'm the only person that actually buys Battletech from them. But I might get one of these and do kind of like an unboxing on the channel or anything like that. I'll say 50-50. I'm not 100% against it, but they haven't sold me on it.
Okay. I think that is totally fair. I think let's be honest, with the way that my channel goes, I'm probably at like 80% myself. As far as picking this up. And the funny thing is, I'm not even a huge Grimdark fan, but I think well, I will admit, I am kind of a sucker for new maps. And I mean, come on.
The maps do look cool. Yeah, the maps do look cool. And honestly, people are going to buy it just for the miniatures, just so they can use them as like periphery pirates or whatever. And they're probably just going to like scalp or chuck the rest of it. Honestly, there's probably a decent percentage of people that are just going to buy it just to get their hands on the minis. Or like if Fortress Miniatures parts ends up like splitting the box and parting them out like they usually do, there'll be people that'll just buy the miniatures individually and never even touch this, because the minis do look, from what we've seen, the minis do look kind of neat. So
right. But yeah, so me, I'm probably in the 80% range as far as picking this up. I basically, like, something would have to go horribly sideways for me to say nope, not doing it. But otherwise, I don't know. I think it looks interesting. I don't want it to replace my actual Battletech. But I'm willing to give it a look and try it out.
Yeah, if it's a side thing, I think it'll be okay. If it's meant to like replace Battletech completely because they've written themselves into a corner with the Ill Clan era or whatever, and that's not such a good thing. But either way, Battletech itself is going to survive. I mean, Battletech survived Clicky Tech, so it's going to survive Battletech Gothic. I just hope Games Workshop doesn't see the name and go, that's awfully familiar. Maybe we should be taking a harder look at this.
Yeah. So I'm gonna go agree with David on this one. This is absolutely not a replacement. I'm gonna stake my reputation, as horrible as it may be, on that. But yeah, I think it's gonna be a fun little twist. Let's see. Ooh, this is an interesting point. I hope Thunderhead makes some hex compatible buildings that match the aesthetic. They already do Gothic buildings.
I will agree with that. Yes, I like Thunderhead's stuff. Thunderhead's a decent guy. He's a pretty big BattleTech fan. Definitely passionate about it. So I would like to see some Hextech Gothic BattleTech terrain too.
Yeah, and I'll be honest, I'm fine with that. I just want the 3D printer files because I am not buying it from Gale Force 9 anymore.
Yeah, Gale Force 9 is pretty pricey. Yeah, I mean, we'll have to see. I know he usually does put those kinds of files out there, so we'll have to see what he does.
Yeah, no, there is so much that can be done with this, and I think, and actually, that's another thing, folks. Adepticon is this week. So we're going to get a whole lot more information at the latest on Thursday. Would be my guess. Maybe Friday. But they're not going to go past Friday before putting out a big announcement.
Yeah, I was hearing this big reveal was supposed to be today. They were supposed to be doing the reveal for this today. So I think I'm going to say Tuesday is the latest before we hear more about this.
Okay. Well, so folks, pay attention. Feel like I said, hit the subscribe button. I do try to do at least a few videos each week covering all sorts of tabletop content. Do not forget Wednesday night, me and Kaz are doing Skaz. That's what he's going by now, is Skaz. Are doing the Battletech rules deep dive. So make sure you come back and check that out. But otherwise, Six World, shill your stuff.
Yeah, so find me on the YouTube channel of the same name. It's been a while since I posted a video, but I do post stuff every now and again. Sometimes I post product reviews, sometimes I do AI songs. Sometimes I do some shorts that take the piss out of Catalyst just a little bit, because they deserve to get laughed at every now and again. And then you can also find me on Twitter. I refuse to say X, but my username is weird on X, and I don't want to explain it. So just go to my channel. You'll find all my links there.
Awesome. Yeah, absolutely. Go check him out. If you're not subscribed to him, check him out. He does have some fantastic old school Shadowrun content, but he's also branched out into some Battletech and other cyberpunky goodness. So absolutely check him out. He's a good friend of the channel and just a good guy in general anyways. So, all right. On that note, everybody, go have a wonderful day. I am going to go, I don't know, we'll see how much sleep I get today. But we'll talk to you next time. Thanks, everybody.